Okay, with Lynne Jones winning screenplay from the Romance and Relationships Festival, being first is the screenplay. It's sort of kind of fish out of water or kind of cultural differences, how we feel, like how we learn, right? When we're kind of stuck out of our bubble of Americana, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then with romance involved, I guess.
Yes, it just so happens that that kind of gets in the way there, which makes it even more interesting, I think.
So what kind of motivated you to write this script?
So basically, I had the pleasure of working for a year over in Japan, living and working. And during that time, met a lot of fantastic people, but came across quite a lot of cultural differences that were sometimes challenging, sometimes amusing. And I realized that we all are the way that we are, the way we grow up. So we make our goals and our dreams and everything else around that.
Yeah,
And I thought that the idea of this script was a couple of youngsters, in fact, teenagers, first meet when the Japanese lad has well, I can't imagine what kind of a cultural shock it must have been for him coming to London and doing an exchange student. And he stays with the family of a in fact in this screenplay, a British woman, Florence. Um, and that proves very fish out of water and amusing. But they do set some goals and dreams together about what they want to do, and you can really see that it's born of where they've grown up and their family.
sure.
Years later, he invites her, well, about 7 years later, they're now in a bit what you might call a quarter life crisis, although
Okay.
they don't know it.
How old are you when
And
you're at a quarter life crisis? Like
well,
25, 30?
I've got them about 25,
Okay.
27, something like that. But I'm not sure officially what the quarter life description would be. But basically, he's going to get married now to the kind of girl that he described as being his goal and dream to marry. And he invites Florence over with her sort of eye candy guy that would have been what she wanted. And now the tables are turned and they're the fish out of water, particularly the boyfriend, who's a sort of a footballer or a soccer player, as you would say. Um, anyway, things change. People are changing, and when they all meet up, they get to reevaluate a lot of those goals and dreams and end up maybe the romance part kicks in a little bit differently. So the reason what motivated me was to try
Yeah.
and tell the bits of story of some of the people that I met or um, some of the situations I found myself in, but try and tell it in a really light-hearted way and a fun way that people
Yeah.
would enjoy. They could resonate with the way people change and the way those West meets East differences are, but at the same time, they could have a bit of fun and enjoy it.
Gotcha. So it's not only just the cultural differences, it's also when you kind of experience things with people and you'll have that mutual kind of thing in common that you experience someone with, and then you meet years later, you kind of have some perspective, right? You kind of have different points of
Exactly.
view and its perspective.
You're right.
It's almost
Exactly.
like a high school reunion in a sense, right?
Yeah,
Ideally, if it works with it. Usually they don't work out, but if it did, that's sort of what works, right? You're like, you
that's
come back
right.
to the environment that you all know well, and then you like, okay, and then you all have life experiences and you have perspective of things.
That's exactly right. And so it's almost I don't know, not really coming of age because it goes from sort of 17-year-old to 25, but that period is diff you do change. Plus the being out of your own environment into really very different cultures. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I think I think the kind of challenges in writing it did come around the idea of, well, you don't want to have so much comedy that you're sort of laughing at people. Um, but the comedy is a big part of it, really. They're more, I'd say, amusing circumstances that people find themselves in rather than making fun of people. It's more like making fun of a situation or finding it amusing. So it was kind of how much romance for us, how much comedy, and how much of this is the real life story of people changing the way that
So tone,
that
like
they
kind of like
feel.
you don't want it to be too busy from a story perspective, right?
Yes, you're
Yeah.
exactly right.
And then
So
you gotta, but you want to kind of come up with have your ideas come across, but then how do you do it? Like, what do you lead with?
yeah, and that was a challenge. And I think that in in the beginning, I think it was very much the story of telling um, the comedy that was involved and how fish out of water could be funny. But at the same time, over time, I realized that the way people change in their um, as they grow up this little bit or they hit parts of their life where maybe they're thinking differently was a key part of the story, really. And it sort of flowed out of it. So that's part of it that I enjoyed. And in fact, one of the feedback sessions I had really did make me think about that. And I made a few changes along the way, as you do,
Yeah,
with the redrafts and try to bring that part out more, which I hope people will really enjoy.
100%. So what's your origin story? How did you get into writing screenplays?
Well, it was after sort of stopping a career in financial services, which couldn't be a lot more different from this. I went off to uni to do a MA in screenwriting.
So
And I met
university, just people don't know, university, uni is university, right?
Sorry, university,
Yeah,
yeah, in London at a university called Birkbeck.
yeah.
And I met a whole load of amazing people, both the tutors and a load of people, all were in the business really in one way or the other. And we all collectively got our MA in screenwriting. And just after that, so for that, we I developed a portfolio of several scripts, as you do, TV and film, and
Mhm.
then COVID hit or lockdown hit. So a whole group of us that had graduated and been on this course were doing feedback sessions every week, writing some lockdown scripts, doing feedback sessions on Zoom. And we all helped one another an awful lot and probably learned even more than on the actual course. But, that was a lot of fun. So a few more scripts came out of that to add to the portfolio. And actually, that's when I started this idea. So it was a lot less, at the screenwriting MA, it was a lot more structured, how it's when you're learning and all the rest of it. And this was a lot more, well, let's get into actually telling a story we want to. And everybody, all sort of eight of us, did a lot. So that's how I got into it and enjoying it. Actually, don't really have any um there's no the scripts I have do not follow they're not all this or
Yeah,
all something else. So I do find that the only thing in common may be that they do have something about my experiences in them in one way or the other.
of course. Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah,
then, like,
that
you're
just
talking
come,
about
you're
like
better at that.
in terms of tone, kind of style, like they're not, or like kind of
Yeah,
how many romances, I guess, right?
yeah. But if you have, yeah, none of the others are romances.
Yeah.
None of the others involve the two cultural differences,
Mhm.
but they do tend to have, something about them that has perhaps popped up in my life.
Were you always a fan of film? Like, were you always a big movie fan?
Yes, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
but not not involved or working in the industry until this,
Yeah,
I
exactly. But
guess
then that's what
probably
I
just
mean
over
is that
10 years
that's what
ago.
kind of like
Always
since you had the
interested.
freedom to do it, you just kind of took the plunge and started writing.
Yeah, I wanted to see if I had the, after the finance, the finance side, to see
Yeah.
if I had another side of my brain, if you know what I mean, I guess, and to sort of take things I'd really enjoyed and that were more hobbies and turn them into more of a creating something myself,
And how has the
which
experience
has
been
been the
so
good
far for
thing.
you?
It's been great. It is
Yeah.
good. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of the festivals have really been good, and just gradually trying to improve and develop those stories for something that people people will go on to enjoy.
That's great. And I did see that on the blog interview that your Notting Hill is the film that you
Yeah,
the most time you liked, which is a romantic comedy, right? So
it is.
and
I
it is
know.
about like English and American kind of movie star commoner, right?
Yeah, I sort of didn't set out to copy that. Well, of course,
No,
there's
no, I'm
some
just saying there's
but
some
it's obviously
similarities.
in my head. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And I actually think that, I mean, when I look at that, that is just so corny, or as we would describe it. But I just always enjoy watching it. At least once a year, on it back goes
yeah,
again. And I think what I'd say is it lifts the spirit. It makes you feel quite good,
yeah.
and you have a bit of a laugh as well. And I think that's what movies can be about sometimes.
I always wondered like the Hugh Grant character, like does that character even exist now? Like, can you just
No,
be like a small owner of a bookstore in like a small town and like,
no, probably not.
yeah,
Probably not. I mean, I think a lot of women would probably be searching for that guy just because, he would be pretty perfect in
yeah,
terms of, he's intelligent and interesting, but a lot of people have said as well, you don't get that. This wouldn't be real because to live there you'd have to be super rich and to run your own bookstore and everything. But, it's about imagination. It doesn't have to be that this would definitely could happen.
well, he's a
You know,
struggling owner, right? He has to have a roommate and like he's
yeah,
struggling. Yeah, yeah. But
he doesn't really live that rich life, but
yeah,
in truth, a house like that in Notting Hill would be millions of pounds.
yeah,
So even if you had a flatmate, you'd probably struggle. But I think it was just so funny. It was just it kind of caught you right from the beginning, grabbed you. Those whole scenes with the flatmate were hilarious.
yeah,
And you wouldn't want ever to meet him probably, but I think it was just hilarious that he was there
sure. Yeah,
and kept popping up. In the end, you came to sort of warm to him a little bit,
yeah, yeah. And then like the only issue I haven't seen the movie in a while, but the Julia Roberts character was like, all right, enough, like with your self-pity about being a movie star. We've heard it. Like,
Yeah, I know. But there was a scene where they sort of played on that a bit
yeah,
because they probably realized we were all thinking that a little bit because
yeah,
they played on it. They had, I don't know if you remember, but he took her to his sister's kind of birthday dinner, but they didn't know
yeah,
that he was bringing this famous person, and they all realized when she got there. And at the end of the evening, they had one brownie left on the table at the end
yeah,
of the dinner. And they asked everybody to say why they should have that brownie. And when it got to her, she said, "Oh, I should have this brownie because of all the years I had to make myself look good
Yeah.
and diet
Yeah.
and this guy, the guy whose house it was that was having the thing said, "Nice try," and just laughed as if to say, "We don't feel sorry for you."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So you've
Anyway,
written, how many scripts have you written to date? How many screenplays have you written?
I think it's a six, six. Yeah, six in total. There's a couple of sort of you wouldn't really say they were finished on top of that, but six finished.
That's great. And that you've been pretty proficient in the last like half a decade or 7 years, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Having a go since then, but that's I think I came to really enjoy it. So you just keep trying and doing a few others.
So you're gonna write more scripts?
Yeah, I think so. I actually have, I think at one stage I thought about going and doing a novel out of one of the scripts. I
Oh
know
wow,
that sounds
okay.
crazy, but I just felt that the story, not this one, but the story was something that might be better as a novel. But the strange thing was, in starting to do that, I started to get other ideas maybe for that another movie script.
Yeah,
Um, and so maybe I will do that. Maybe I will.
great. So
A
you
new
got the
one.
bug. I got basically what I'm saying. You're gonna keep writing.
Yes, definitely got the bug. Yeah, I
Oh,
have.
was that your
Sorry, that was
husband?
my husband.
I was gonna say, is that your husband? He wants to get in.
Yeah,
Does he
he
want to be get
obviously,
in? Yeah.
I think he needed to walk past there.
He just wanted to be in the podcast. He just
He
like,
wanted to
I
be in
got
the podcast.
2 seconds of fame right there. Flew right by.
That's right. Sorry. Sorry about that. I
So,
think it may be that's the direction of the loo, as they say
oh,
here.
the bathroom. Okay. I
Maybe.
like that word, the loo. It's better than
Yeah, do you like
the
that?
toilets, the bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The facilities. Sometimes people say the facilities.
Oh, yeah, that's very polite way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. The restroom. I never
Okay.
understood the restroom. Why is it a restroom? You're not resting there on the toilet.
No,
You're
I
just,
always thought that was a bit
yeah.
silly. Yeah. But same with bathroom, really. You're not having a bath either,
Yeah.
really.
There
Most of the
you go.
time. Sometimes you are, I guess.
But the loo is great. I like the like I like no, it's funny because it's like obviously American, like Canada, American, and the British are very, similar, but there's still that cultural difference even between the two, Western
Even you're
powers.
right. Yeah. And in the script of being first,
Yeah,
there is actually quite a play on the loo. I mean, not to make it extreme, but
yeah,
in terms of there's a lot goes on in a Japanese loo. They're really known for these, toilets that have
yeah.
sound effects and all sorts of things going on. We're going to get another. um, and there is, one of the scenes is where the Florence, his boyfriend, the soccer player, arrives in Japan and has his first experience of going into one of their loos. So, yeah, managed to write that into the script as
Oh, that's
well.
great. Yeah, no, and it's all right. So you're just speaking of your husband kind of is supporting you in your writing pursuits.
Yeah, he came to Japan when we had the year there as well. So he did the fish out of water thing. He's
Okay.
definitely supporting in the writing. Sometimes it's great to have people to bounce, well, I'm sure to bounce
Yeah,
ideas off. And it's all very well to say, well, I do all my thinking when I walk the dog or when I go for a swim or something like that. But then to sit down and say to someone, you know what? I'm doing this, and suddenly someone will say something that you completely have a moment, which is, why didn't I think of that? I've
yeah.
been trying to think where this should go next, or the order of things, or anything, and somebody else you bounce it off, and they say something that you should have thought of in the first place.
That's terrific. Well, Lynn, I think this is a great script. I'm
Thank
glad you
you.
liked the experience so far, and I know you did a consultation with one of our readers as well.
That
So
was so helpful. It really was very
that's
helpful.
great. That's great to hear. And yeah, I just wish you the best of luck with your pursuits. Just keep writing and
Thank you.
keep having fun, and maybe one of them will turn into a film sooner than later.
I think you're right. Have fun with it and keep going. That's that's what they say. But thank you for this chat as well. It's been really useful.
Thank you. Now I'm gonna watch. Now I want to watch that movie again.
Yeah, I
Notting
think you
Hill. I haven't
should.
seen it in like 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it'll be funny. It might seem a bit dated now.
No, but that's what I mean. And see if it's staying. I'm sure it will stand the test of time. Hugh Grant has that. He carried that movie. He's like
Totally.
yeah. He's got something for sure. So
Well,
all right.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and let's talk again when we showcase another script of yours.
Thanks, Matthew.